Is this where we say hi?
Yeah.
Hey everybody. Look, it's a book club. We're back.
Sorry, my throat made a gross noise.
Yeah.
Now that it's a podcast, I feel like I have to ask: Are we recording?
Are we rolling? Okay.
Rolling.
The
Hold on, I want to do the
speeding.
intro again.
Banter.
Yeah.
Well, like,
Oh, we could open with our little music.
We could. All of us are talking much quieter now.
Because
Oh.
it's podcast time.
It's the evening also.
it's the evening.
Yeah.
We're on the couch. We have Mike and Beth's mics.
Act 1.
Act 1.
Oh my god.
The coal
All right.
miners of Western Kentucky.
God.
Sorry, we're on a tangent here, but that's what happens when you take away any kind of restrictions
Structure
in the
and
form
like
of
a live audience.
Yeah,
Now
exactly.
it's just us.
But welcome to our first audio-only incarnation. Sure.
Did we settle on a name?
We do have a name for the podcast. I mean, this is still book club, but
This is
we
still
could
Game of Thrones book club.
Sure, but
Yeah.
we
But
wanna
this
tease it
this
now?
will
Is
be
this where we
launched
want-
in a chapter-by-chapter form run by the great Joel Arnold
Yeah.
and with a name by the great James Gressel.
Damn right. Oh, is this where I say it?
Sure, yeah.
I forgot which one it was.
It's Blackwater Book Club. It's Blackwater Book Club.
Blackwater Book Club.
Blackwater Book Club.
My favorite honorable mention was Chelsea's, which was the
Reading
Rainbow.
Reading Rainbow
Reading
Guide.
Rainbow
Rainbow
Guide.
Guide.
Oh, I do like reading.
No, that's
I
what
love
we
that
can
one.
call ourselves, though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I don't have pants on. I love podcasts.
Oh boy.
It's so much better.
Jamie.
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Joel-
Oh, today
Joel's
we're,
already playing producer and moving us
Oh my
forward.
god, I read
Today,
this today.
we're going to be discussing pages 285, Jamie 3, to the end of,
Davos?
no,
Bran.
Bran.
Yeah.
We're not doing Davos?
I
Couldn't do the
couldn't
Davos.
finish it in time.
You don't want to talk about Davos's blood blisters?
Oh, I
all
did
over
get
his
that
lips?
far. and
I
it
have
sounded
so
gross.
little memory of
Lampreys make
that
his
Bran
stomach
chapter.
Lamprey
Oh,
pie.
it's that
Yeah,
Bran
it's
chapter.
lamprey.
Never mind.
Oh, yeah.
It's that's
Yeah,
it's,
it's
gonna be
okay,
good.
that's a good one to end on then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
these
yeah. Okay,
chapters
cool.
actually are
There's a
pretty.
lot of shit
It's Storm
that
of Swords.
happened.
There's no bad
Storm is
parts
real
of Storm
good.
of Swords.
I mean, nothing too. Oh, never mind. Ghost of Highheart. I was gonna say Arya.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even
Ghost
yeah.
of Highheart.
And what's her face? Acorn lady.
Acorn
Acorn
Lady.
Hall. What's her name?
Lady.
She's nice.
I don't remember. I liked
like
her.
Squirrel Girl.
Squirrel.
All right, Jamie. 2, 3.
It's Jamie 3.
Jamie 3.
Page 285 in the mass market paperback edition. The chapter in which we finally say goodbye to Sir Cleos for a. He takes an arrow.
He gets a rough.
Holy
yeah,
shit.
He
Yeah.
takes a couple of arrows and then
And
has his,
then
The ground meets him.
He died as he lived.
and then
Bad at things.
unloved.
Yeah.
bad. It's
Then Jamie takes his sword and fights with Brienne, and that ruckus
and it's so hot.
attracts.
Yeah, it is.
That ruckus attracts everyone's favorite band of
Oh God.
deplorables. No, hey, he's not with them.
Oh, he
What?
comes up later.
Yeah,
Fargo.
Fargo. He's not with them.
Oh
yet.
man,
He
the
shows up at the end.
audiobook. I did like half audiobook, half
Yeah.
like real reading, and I did audiobook for this first Jamie chapter, and man, it was a little rough. Ray Dotrice does a good job, but it just is like, ugh, so much saliva.
Yeah.
So generally, it's agreed upon that Jamie's arc, the biggest turning point, is the loss of his hand. That's
Oh,
kinda
sure.
like, you know,
It's his It's his previous identity is tied to his hand,
So,
and then his
yeah.
hand gets tied to his neck.
Oh,
so this is the final chapter of Cocky
Jamie,
Top the World.
Jamie 1, Jamie Prime,
1. Yeah.
oh
I guess Alpha Jamie.
Alpha Jamie.
Before
He becomes a beta after
Yep.
this.
Yes, he does. He's still got that cocky amusement about him.
Sure.
Like, oh, he's going to keep his promise to Catelyn. Not because he should, but because it would amuse him when they all thought he would betray them.
Now that I thought was interesting because I don't believe him
I don't
there.
believe
I don't believe him.
That's him lying to himself.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he's
playing the character.
He's trying to be the person that he deep down wants to be. And what a nice cover. Wouldn't it shock them to be honorable.
Can we talk about the fight? Like,
well, hold on.
oh,
There's
is
a
that
couple
too
pages
far? That's
before.
too far.
It's just a
All
couple
right,
pages.
all right,
But
all right.
what happens before that? We got Jaime thinking about washing Cersei's back. That's
There's a
always
lot
fun.
of Cersei, as there always is. He's definitely in her thoughts, and we get the detail that Joanna might have Joanna Lannister might have suspected like the later incest had she lived because a maid had caught them fooling around when they were really little.
Joanna separated them.
I don't know if she suspected later incest. I thought she was just like, these are two hormonal, however old they were, like experimenting, and she wanted to discourage that behavior.
But had she lived, I think she would have noticed certain
Oh,
things.
well, yeah, she was on guard.
So Tyrion did him a favor, you could argue.
I'm sure they think of it that way.
Well, Cersei definitely doesn't.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to note any kind of mention of Joanna. And like Jaime's memory here of her is just something keeping him from Cersei. Like we get these mentions of Joanna, and like they're so sparse and they're so affected by who's talking about her. Like Tyrion has no memory of her, obviously. Like Cersei has this like inflated image of her that she blames Tyrion for killing her and stuff. And then we get all these secondhand accounts of her relationship with Tywin and her whatever her attitude at court or her behavior at court and whatever Ares felt about her. But here with Jaime, I think it's interesting that it's just another thing that's keeping him from Cersei.
Oh,
That stuck out to me too, because I feel like in every other character POV where someone's thought about Joanna, it's always like, yeah, like Cersei has this super inflated image of her.
Sure.
And like really reveres her and is like a little obsessed with the idea that her mom is dead. But Jaime, Joanna's very fleeting. And, you know, like she's not, I don't know. Like it kind of took me off guard that he didn't think about her a little more, like focus on her a little more. It just kind of like, it was like a thing that happened. And
Yeah, I mean, well, he does say he barely remembers what she looks like.
yeah.
Sure, I mean he was young, right? He was under 10.
Also, I'm just gonna say he has two good points here. One, I mean, the Targaryens always married their sisters, so yeah, whatever, man, go for it. I think.
Yeah.
You know,
He's not wrong.
he's
He's
not,
not
wrong.
wrong.
And then in the end, it had been swords that had won the Iron Throne for Robert. So yeah, you know what? I say go for it. Yeah.
But he's thinking so delusionally here.
Oh, yeah.
No one would accept Joffrey marrying Myrcella. Like they couldn't just become.
Oh yeah, he does. He does float
Yeah.
that thought by, like, oh fuck it, maybe we'll just have it do the whole thing.
But-
yeah, I think he would love to think that he could just fight his way into having everyone accept this.
If the Lannisters though had outright taken things, like after the Targaryens, I don't think it would have been an issue. Like
Oh,
people
yeah.
would have dealt
Instead
with
of
it.
Robert,
I think if Aerys died any other way, it wouldn't have been much of an issue.
Oh, but
Oh,
the
but
fact
the
that
fact
Jaime kills
killed
him,
it.
sure.
And then it's
okay.
like, we're new
We're new
Targaryens
Targaryens.
now. We're just gonna do it the same way, but it's us.
but blonde,
Yeah.
less,
Not bleach blonde.
not bleach
Yeah.
blonde,
Bottle blonde.
sandy blonde.
Yeah.
that's strawberry. Not really.
No,
No. Then Cleo's good shot.
Yeah.
Who shoots him? I looked on
don't-
the internet and I,
I don't
couldn't
think
figure
there's
it
a
out.
named
They're
killer.
they're just like
They're
Archers.
just rogue archers.
Yeah.
essentially.
You know how Jaime feels about archers.
Yeah,
He
the
hates
way
them.
unsupported bowmen always broke and ran before the charge of knights. Yeah.
aren't they just they're Tully men, right? Or are they
It's Brave
literally-
Companions, I think.
No, they're
No,
not.
they're
not.
Because he later is
He
like,
later is
these
like,
weren't the
these are
same.
definitely not the same guys that shot at us later.
Yeah.
Oh.
I just
I
remember
th- I
that
think
guy
they're-
in it had to be Clash, who just sat on that tree and watched how Yoren with the kids for the Night's Watch behind him just passed, and he was just had his bow drawn the whole time. Just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, maybe this was one
desperate.
of those. But then, yeah, Cleos gets his fucking head dragged along the ground.
That would not
That's a bummer.
be fun. Do you
I think
think
it was relatively quick. sounds like.
Do you think he would have been knocked unconscious first?
I thought he
Maybe.
broke his
I don't
neck,
think
maybe.
so.
I don't
Ooh,
know.
when he hit.
You know what?
Plunk.
All in all of our options sound not
They're
that
all
bad,
bad.
compared to like. Oh, I was gonna say not
Oh
that
no,
bad.
this is bad.
think
I
he's
think he
a-
felt everything until
Yeah,
he
I think
died.
he's alive for a while.
Oh, yeah.
dude.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just thinking about the
More
tickler. So
Cleos.
this
I'll
sounds okay to me.
I'll kind of miss Cleos.
He added an interesting dynamic to their
Yeah.
interplay.
And I don't know. I like him. There's
Interesting is a strong word.
There's a character I imagine
Cleo's
him,
very
and it's weird because I imagine him looking like a cartoon character from the show called Super Jail. And there's
Oh,
a
God.
character in that who is like super nervous all the time. He's constantly sweating, and he has kind of a high pitched, really panicky voice. And I always read his lines in my head like that guy, and I'll kind of miss it.
I just imagine him being so short compared to Jaime and Brienne.
Yeah.
Like he has to look up to both of them and like
Yeah.
comes up to their like chest when like if they're arguing and he's standing between them, it's a farce.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, please.
That mirrors his
Sirs, I
role.
mean,
because
yeah.
they barely acknowledge that he's there unless he really
I
pipes
can
Also-
up.
barely see him, yeah.
Also, if they were silhouetted, it would kind of look like the Frey sigil. You know,
Twins?
like if he were standing in between, if Cleo's Frey was
Oh,
standing,
he'd
in
be like
between-
the bridge
Oh, it's like
between
Yeah,
them.
like-
yeah, I'm sure that was on
yeah.
purpose.
That's interesting because he's half. What is he half of?
he's half Lannister. And
He's half
Frey.
Lannister.
That's
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also think
mostly
that
Frey.
he.
Yeah.
He's Jenna,
Frey below the
Jenna
waist.
Lannister's
Yeah,
kid, right?
right.
Yeah. She's cool. I'm excited for her at some point.
Sure.
The death of him also means he was sort of a obstacle for them, for Brienne and Jaime really coming into full conflict just with each other. He was trying to keep the peace a little bit, so I think it's telling that as soon as he
Immediately.
dies,
Yeah.
they're fighting with their swords and kissing with their swords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and I think
just
it's
fuck.
it's worth noting that I mean, in earlier chapters, Jaime he helped Brienne out of the river. He seems to be coming up with a little bit of respect for her, but he goes to kill her here. Like somehow Brienne had gotten her blade out in time. He really went in a swift, deadly arc. He went to go kill her. He would still kill her if it meant his freedom.
Yeah, I think that the part of Jaime that's I don't want to necessarily say falling for Brienne yet, but the part of Jaime that has a growing respect for her isn't that upfront decision making part. Like Jaime, like one of Jaime's faults is shoot first, ask questions later. Like that's what got him into trouble in the Whispering Wood. And for him to go and kill Brienne in this, like, now's my chance, go and kill her, I think that's something that he would have come to regret later if he had been successful. And I don't think he necessarily backs off because, you know, he still wants to get free and everything. But, like, you know, this is an important fight. Like, this is him really, she really earns his respect here.
Yeah, because
Through
he
this
starts to lose too.
Yeah, he starts to lose, and I think that the most important detail I think to remember about this fight, from Jaime's perspective, is he knows she's not trying to kill him.
Yeah, I would not hurt you, Kingslayer.
Yeah, and so this is Jaime knowing that he's not getting her 100%, and he still loses. You know what I mean? And, like, yeah, like, he's not at 100% either, but, like, I think that's something that Jaime, whose identity is completely tied up in his martial skill like this, that's a big deal for him. That, like, she's phoning it in a sense, and she still wins.
Yeah, that's
Like-
probably why She Is Stronger Than I Am gets its own paragraph in italics. At the top of 291.
I know.
And it feels like a real shock when he realizes not only is he losing and that she's not giving it her all, but I think it never even entered his mind that he could possibly lose. And I think that ties in with his attitude once he's captured, that he couldn't imagine any harm coming to him. There's always, you know, his skill as a swordsman, which will best anyone, or his wealth as a Lannister, which no one can say no to, but he's starting to find setbacks.
That's true. Like, this really is everything about Jaime laid low here. in this chapter.
Yeah, I wonder if too subconsciously he realizes that even if he did beat Brienne here and he killed her and escaped, like, what does that make him look like if he escapes to freedom, but really he was let go and was given a woman as an escort? Oh, good job, you killed your lady escort. Like, nice.
That's
You're real
what
cool.
I mean.
Yeah.
Like when he goes for that killing arc or whatever, that's him not thinking about the consequences.
Yeah.
Because that's just one more thing they'll talk about him.
There's like zero things honorable about this situation.
Poor Jaime.
I know. I love Jaime.
Oh, I don't love him just yet. He's still pretty much a dick right here, but
He's so handsome.
oh, I see. It comes out.
The Lannister slappy is all about it.
I would like to say that we get some really nice prose here, especially on
Yeah,
page 290.
she looks like they caught us fucking instead of fight. Is that what you meant?
No, I was talking about like time slept when swords woke.
I like that.
Steel rang, steel sang, steel screamed and sparked and scraped, and then it was as if she had an iron cage around her that stopped every blow.
You skipped over the less elegant. The woman started grunting like a sow.
Yeah.
George has a good time writing this.
She looks as if they caught us fucking instead of fighting, in italics. And they go to bang each other, but they're interrupted.
By the scum of the earth.
They don't go to bang each other. If you're not like rereading with us,
That
doesn't
they have
happen.
that thought.
They may be.
That occurs
They
to
feel
them.
some feelings.
Their blood's up or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on 289, there's so much language like this. You know, there's singing, there's kissing. Jaime's blood was singing, and this was what he was meant for. He never felt so alive as when he was fighting with death balance in every stroke.
Oh, that's why they'd be so good together. They could just like sword fight each other and then teach their babies to sword fight. And they could all just sword fight together and be happy.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen. That's literally never going to happen.
No, it might.
Jaime and Brienne for the Iron Throne.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a very poorly run leadership, I would say. There's a
Yeah?
lot of naivete there. There's a lot of
Brienne's too honorable.
She cannot rule.
There's
There's
just-
no part of her
there's
that's
a lot of
that's a
entitlement
leader.
there. I don't feel like
Just
that.
get Littlefinger to be the hand.
There you go.
He'll
Yeah.
be comfortable with that, right? He won't want more.
Dear God.
Hey, brave companions.
Yeah.
They're so gross.
Oh, God. They're the worst.
Biter chewed that Septus' teats off.
Oh, God.
What?
Yeah, and later, I think it's in Arya's chapter. They meet a Septon who talks about like, does he mention that there's like guys who come through and they like
cut off the
ransack, they cut
maiden's
off
wooden
the
breasts.
maiden's wooden. I'm like, I have a feeling someone. I don't know how many people are running around with that fixation. I feel like our little buddy maybe did
Biter, our
that.
little buddy?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
And Sir Urswick on 295.
Oh, he's no sir.
It's such a small detail. It's so weird, but it just gives a small window into these monsters' point of view. It's so casual. He's talking about, oh yeah, my dear wife would be happy to hear it that he could get a knighthood. If I only hadn't killed her, he sighed.
Yeah.
Like, oh man,
Well-
I did that. Mm.
Yeah.
Ugh, God, they're just like all the worst, just like the worst collection of people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's something I do miss in the show. And it's weird because I imagine Vargo Hoat looking like Locke does in the show. They're the same character to me.
Sure.
But I love the image of like this weird band of like people from all over Planetos.
Yeah.
And that's something I really miss from the show. But I wonder if it would have been confusing.
I think it would have been confusing as to where they came from.
Yeah,
like it tracks in the show, I think, for show watchers that like Locke is like a
Bolton man.
yeah, a Bolton man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to have it be a sellsword band that was brought over from across the Narrow Sea and hired by the Lannisters, but then they switched sides and
To
it's
Boltons.
like, yeah,
Who are just as bad. Yeah.
right. Yeah, like
It's-
it's
I
a
always
lot.
forget that they're not in the show at all. it's
Right.
confusing
No.
because they're kind of separate but parallel to Sir Gregor's men. You know?
Right.
Like Gregor has his own band of awful deplorables.
Yeah, that's why Jaime
And-
like kind of lumps them all in. He's
The-
like, oh, they're just
and for a while the brave companions serve the same lord.
Right.
But now they're not. But
What I think separate for me, and I could be wrong, I could be misremembering things, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think of it. The difference for me between Gregor's men and Gregor himself, perhaps, and the brave companions is that, like, and we've talked about this before, like, there's a lot wrong with Gregor Clegane. Like, physically,
Oh,
mentally,
yeah.
like, he's
Yeah.
an unwell person. He is a monster, no doubt, but he's an unwell person. And that's
yeah.
not to say that the brave companions are totally fine, but, like, I don't really think,
there's
like,
anything wrong with.
they just
They
love...
just are evil.
Yeah.
Like you
they
have,
relish
I think
it.
we've talked about it before, but Gregor Clegane is from what I have heard referred to as serial killer soup.
Yeah.
He has like brain injuries.
Yeah.
And he has like the, like
Gigantism
yeah.
and, like, all the,
that's
like...
not to
yeah.
say that people who do have those things are all doomed to be like murderers and serial killers,
But in a world that
Yes.
encourages those
And rewards
things,
those things.
rewards those
statistically
things.
he was probably just gonna end up this way. Whereas like
Sir Urswick is just a fucking
not a sir.
asshole.
He's just
okay,
Urswick.
sure.
he's Urswick the Faithful.
Fine.
He's not a
But
sir.
yeah, like it's weird. I see what you mean. They're like they're different. They're both terrible.
They're different
It's not-
kind.
yeah,
they're
it's
they're
not-
different flavors
It's
of the
not an
same
excuse
gross.
rather than the things that motivate them are kind of different.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
like different flavors of shitty.
Yeah.
Gregor comes from a background that's, like you were saying, very dark. Like all of these things happened in his background too, where parts of his family would just vanish, like his sister or his wife, I think,
like,
and all
three
these
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
health issues.
Yeah.
But then I just imagine these other guys went to war after having relatively normal for their areas or for their classes upbringing, and then just liked war a lot.
Oh, totally.
And then just like went off to find more war.
Yeah.
Well, it also seems to me that Gregor, especially, but also his crew, his entourage, are firmly within the system.
Oh,
whereas these guys
sure.
seem really without of the system. Gregor is a knight. He has Lorch, is
a knight as well.
yeah,
a lord.
and pretty much with him.
Yeah.
and they're all in service.
There's
to
a
Lord
hierarchy.
Tywin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they like come at it from different angles. Like
Yeah, whereas
the-
these guys are like a motley crew of.
Yeah.
They're chaotic
It's like
evil.
Gregor's guys who are like they've all been raised within the system, and I feel like they all have a sense of like, oh, we're entitled to be shitty. Like we're entitled to act like this because that's just how it is. But then these guys, like, they aren't from the quote unquote system, but then they realize they can't act like that and get stuff that they want.
Yeah.
So it's like they just come at it different ways.
I think Jaime is very dumb here.
Yeah.
Or at least he's not observant because
Idiot.
fucking idiot. He says on let's see. I had this written down. I'm sorry. Joel can edit
This
this
is great
out.
podcasting.
Yeah.
I'll
Sorry
just
for people
talk.
listening to the whole file.
I think it's interesting to think what this situation would have been if they had kidnapped Tyrion. Because this kind of reminds me a little of Tyrion getting kidnapped by like the mountain clans and stuff. But Tyrion can just talk his way out of everything. And here we have the first instance ever in the books where like, well, not really. Jaime was captured by Catelyn, but when he's captured by like a roving band of
Yeah,
like scary
and he-
dudes.
but here's the point I was
Catelyn
gonna
has
bring
a...
up.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Because it ties into that.
Sure.
Yeah, Tyrion wouldn't have made this mistake because Jaime gave him a cold, contemptuous smile. This is on 293. And men say, I have shit for honor. Urswick was unhappy with that comment. Okay, so, Jaime, maybe file that away, remember
Read
it,
the room.
and then that way, on the very next page on 294 near the bottom, you don't say, when he says, do you take me for a turncloak, you don't respond with, certainly, what else? You know, maybe if you notice that he didn't like attacks on his honor, maybe don't do that immediately again, because I feel like that leads to this sheer casual insolence that Urswick has for him on 295 that really upsets Jaime because it just takes him down a peg, and it leads to
Yeah, it just
The hand
it does
thing.
remind me so much of Tyrion's first chapter with the mountain clans, and it's like amazing how different they are and how differently they handle it. And it's like the first chapter that Jaime's with these dudes, he gets his hand chopped off.
It's interesting how, like, you bring that up, James, those two examples. Like, I feel like we could probably go back to Game and pick out a very similar exchange, but instead of hitting the same kind of beat, like, Jaime goes right back to the well of, like, you have, like, you're awful. Like, of course you're awful, and I'm better than you. Where Tyrion would...
grovel.
He wouldn't necessarily grovel, but he would take the reaction to that remark, and he would learn from that reaction and be like, oh, the correct way of spinning that reaction is this kind of thing.
And he would also be self-effacing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he would have more room to be self-effacing, because if Jaime's like, oh, if Jaime had the intelligence to try that of like, I'm just as downtrodden as you, no one's gonna fucking believe you. You're the golden boy. Tyrion can always fall back on like, dude, you're rejected. I'm a fucking dwarf.
Yeah.
You know?
But that just fits into the narrative of Kingslayer that Jaime hates so much. It's just another aspect of his kind of tragic character, which makes Jaime so great.
Yeah.
You could draw a lot of parallels between like Jaime and Tyrion both being captured by Catelyn up through like these moments, like them getting captured by the Mountain Clans and the Bloody Mummers.
Sure.
Especially when you realize like the way that they escape Catelyn, Tyrion kind of like tricks the system. Like he kind of works the system a little bit. He demands like trial by combat. And they kind of accuse him of trickery, I think, like once he wins. Isn't it kind of like, that feels so long ago. But then once he's out of the I hate like saying the system, sounds weird, but like once he's out in like the woods and he's captured by like these lawless dudes, that's when he like starts to thrive. Whereas Jaime is released based on like his inherent value in the system, and that's what gets him released is like, oh yeah, we will just like exchange him, or I will just exchange him, rather, just Catelyn. But Catelyn wants to exchange him for Sansa because he has like inherent worth. But then once he's out in like the wilds, he like can't function.
Yeah.
Once he's out of like that place where he has value, he's nothing.
As part of the system.
It's part of the system, man.
Yeah, Joel, you're poised.
Oh, I look poised. I love that point, and I was gonna add to it that conversely, where they differ a little bit is once they are outside the system and facing fewer rules. It's interesting the way Tyrion acts selfishly, I think, in the end when he defends Catelyn, because when the Mountain Clans first attack, because if he loses his captors, he's going to be treated even worse. So you could say possibly selflessly, possibly selfishly. I'd lean more towards his self-interest. But then with Jaime, when they're captured and he defends Brienne, that's not making it any easier on him. He's only looking out for her.
That's true. And I think that's because of the respect that he gained for her over the course of their journey, especially during that last fight. And I really think that this is Jaime exhibiting behavior of something we've talked about a lot throughout the series, is the quote unquote true knight. You know, this is Sir Jaime, not the Kingslayer. He's like, this, I need to try to help this person who's in for a rough time, and if there's anything I can do to try to help them, I should.
And here he's not just throwing gold at the problem. He's using some Tyrion cleverness.
Sure, it
Oh, with the
boils down
tar
to the
thing?
same.
With the Sapphire Island.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's interesting. And then he gets his hand chopped off.
Then he gets his hand cut off.
Well, I don't know. It doesn't say that here,
That's
guys.
true.
Maybe he hasn't
Technically
rusted yet.
doesn't say
Well, he
it.
screams. No,
Yeah.
and after saying no, Southsword would make him scream.
But first I must send him a message.
I wish, Joel, that you didn't have the show. Because when I first read this, I didn't know if Jaime lived or died. You know, like I didn't know what they did. and it was one of those moments. And George is so good at this, like finding those buttons to end chapters on, where you're like something terrible has happened, and it could be any number of things.
It's gonna happen a lot.
It's like a good Goosebumps end to a chapter.
Sure. Choose your own adventure. Flip to page, whatever. If Jaime got his hand cut off, I don't know. But fascinating. It's just such an excellent decision to take this character who's so defined by one thing, one action carried out with this one appendage, and remove that. It's genius.
Same thing with Theon later. Spoiler alert.
Good thing Tyrion talked his way out of having his fed to a goat.
Any final thoughts on this chapter? I just, Eris. It always turns on Eris.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
King Flair.
Okay. All right.
Arya.
Moving on to Arya 4, pages 298 through 310 in the mass market paperback edition. This is the chapter in which Arya's still hanging out with a merry band of brothers. Brotherhood without banners. And they're looking for Beric Dondarrion. They go around and ask a ton of people, but no one's really seen him. They stay on top of High Heart, which sounds like a lovely little mystical place. And so mystical that there's a little, possibly albino, dwarf woman who shows up and lays out some nice prophecies. Real simple ones. Thanks for that. I think we all know what all those are at this point.
Even I do.
Yeah. Good job, Joel. And then...
Do you want to go... Well, are we going to go back and talk about her?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm just summarizing. And then she gets bathed by Lady Smallwood. I mean, besides the Ghost of High Heart, not too much happens here.
Yeah, she tussles around
Yeah,
with Gendry.
Had a little roll around party.
Mess around.
This is where we learn, though, that Beric has died several times.
A few times.
And it's still like rumor, but like
That's a lot of rumors.
it's a lot of rumor of like, wait, he's been killed by who and when and what?
Where
So,
there's smoke,
so-
there's fire, and where there's fire, there's lightning.
There's also a little song in this chapter that I think Tinfoil Hat,
Great.
although maybe not so Tinfoil Hat, has a little something to do with
Little
the
something?
very last chapter that we're going to read today, which I think is very cool. I think there's some ties. We can talk about it later, but
With the branch out?
oh, interesting.
The Maiden of the Tree.
The Maiden of the Tree.
Oh.
And how she smiled and how she laughed, the Maiden of the Tree.
Talking about a certain she-wolf?
yep.
And she said, ooh, let's just do this. This is fun, Chels.
Right? Yeah.
Wait, Chelsea, could you...
Okay,
This
so
will be, wait, could you just say, like, this will relate to the
this
next brand
is
chapter?
going to relate to the next brand chapter we read, specifically the story of the Night of the Laughing Tree. At least that's what I think. I think there's some little ties here, some little nods. And I think if you want to dig for it, you can start to kind of connect the Night of the Laughing Tree and the people involved in that story to the people that Arya is currently wandering with. If you really want to, like, I mean, that's getting, like, deep.
Or are you talking about specific...
Like Lem and
Lem?
Tom Seven, you know, like
Oh.
Oh, like if is Lem Richard Lonmouth and like
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So that-
Joel's shaking his head very confused.
I'd rather
Don't feel bad if you don't know.
Let's wait to talk about Richard Loudmouth when we get to Night of the Laughing Tree because it'll get confusing if we
Sure.
start doing it here. Because
Sure.
Is that person even mentioned in that chapter?
He is, but not by name.
Not by
Yeah,
name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry,
We'll get
Joe.
there.
We'll
Watch
get
yourself,
you.
counselor.
But I do think that there's a lot of cool little things in there, Chels. There's on your head a crown, you'll be my lady love, and I'll be your lord. I'll always keep you warm and safe and guard you with my sword, like the sworn swords of the Kingsguard, perhaps. The Maiden of the Tree and the Laughing. You'll be my forest love and forest lass if they like ran off together. There's some cool shit in this song. That's a really
It's
interesting reading. It's so easy to, if you grew up and read a certain other fantasy series with a certain chapter that has a ton of songs, Tom Bombadil in Lord of the Rings.
Dude, Lady of the Leaves and her whole shtick reminded me
Yeah,
a lot of The
it's
Hobbit.
really
There are a lot of ladies here.
Yeah, it's really easy to skip or skim songs.
I feel like you're talking to me because I always stopped with Tom Bombadil and reading it because I couldn't do the songs.
Tom Bombadil,
Just skip the songs, Joel.
Just
it's
skip
so bad. Just skip
But
it.
I'm
Hey, listen, all you beautiful listeners out there, if you want to try to read Lord of the Rings, go for it. Just skip the songs.
just skip
Just
songs,
skip
man.
the songs.
Just
Just
skip
skip
the
Tom
songs.
Bombadil.
Song of Ice and Fire, don't skip the song.
Don't
Don't.
skip the songs.
Don't skip
Because
those
they're all
songs.
kinds of crazy ass foreshadowing,
And
and
sometimes
you'll kick yourself later.
It's the Bear and the Maiden Fair. And it's
That's-
just a lot of
and
Yo,
it's
fun.
when
just
it's
that.
Bear and the Maiden Fair, skip the
You
song.
can skip that.
Don't
skip
skip the
that
songs.
song.
It's fun.
Joel's
Okay.
uncomfortable with the idea of skipping anything.
Yeah.
Very much a completist.
All right, let's go back and
Yeah.
To the
Before
Lady of the
we-
Leaves.
Lady of the Leaves, what's she up to? I didn't even remember her.
I don't remember her either.
She's just living in trees.
Because at first I
She-
was like, "Oh, cool! It's the Ghost of Highheart." It's not. The Lady of Leaves is a different old lady.
Yeah.
She was
She's-
afraid that Barrack was dead, and
Yeah,
now
she's very happy that he was
Where
alive.
is Lady of the Leaves?
It's on
Very first
299.
page. Yeah.
299.
Stick thin, white-haired woman. That's how I like them. Dressed in rough spun. And yeah, she's real sad when she thinks that Barrack is dead. She's the second person, even though it's only the second page of the chapter, to relay a tale of Barrack dying. This time is his eye got put out by Sir Gregor. But she gets real happy when Lem swears that he's not dead. Ladies love Barrack.
He's a handsome dude.
Yeah, Jane Poole loved him.
I don't know if
Poor Jane.
Poor Jane.
I don't know if the ladies love him as much as they love Tom Seven Strings.
Oh yeah, dude, that guy's going around fathering so many bastards. That made me think a little less of him, Tom.
Yeah. Irresponsible.
And women all over the area are having to drink some tansy,
Tansy
tea.
Tansy tea.
Man, okay, rereading
Hey.
these books, I'm realizing how much I missed the first time, or like rather how much I did not read these like critically the first time.
Oh yeah, you just read them to.
You just
to
read
get the
them to
story.
read them,
Yeah.
and so you can't be spoiled anymore.
Yeah.
Because I was not paying attention to like tansy shit.
Oh no,
or, like,
this is on page
songs.
306 when they're talking about how Thomas Seven Strings has just bastards everywhere. And Lady Smallwood tells him, yeah, the Riverlands are full of maids you've pleased, all drinking tansy tea. He'd think a man as old as you would know how to spill a seed on their bellies.
Calling you Tom Seven Sons before much longer.
Yeah.
Man, I bet that the Lady of the Leaves is somebody, and I wish I had more time to like do some like intense research before we did.
I think it's interesting.
No.
Like they're so close to High Heart, right? And which is this like place of like old god magic with the weirwoods, which have been cut down.
Yes. 31.
But on 300, there's the old man who says Northmen, they were savages who worship trees. Like, even though that they're in this place of, like, old god power, and you have the, like, Ghost of Iheart who's, like, connected to that, the people are of the new gods who see these Northmen as, like, as savages. And, like, and we're really starting to ramp up the religious aspects of the series as important to the conflict that you get. There's a very brief mention of it, and this could be reading too much into it, but on 299 there's the mention of
The begging brother.
the begging brother,
For the
yeah.
first time, I think.
And I'm sure we might have missed one, but maybe.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure,
Yeah. I think so. Maybe.
but I think, and then we get we're not talking about the Davos chapter, but like religion is really starting to. Like all the wilding stuff, there's a lot of like the old gods and like, you know, the free folk and all this kind of thing. The Children of the Forest and Bran mentions of the Children of the Forest and Bran chapter, the Crannog men.
Yeah.
Like we're really starting to get the kind of spirituality and magic of the world through the lens of religion coming into this book, and that's going to be a big part of Feast.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking up Lady of the Leaves right now just to see if anyone
Shot.
has said anything cool about her.
It's a Chardane.
It's interesting that they would have someone as significant at least as far as I can tell here, Ghost of High Heart, and have right before that another named, slightly interesting older woman, if she weren't important at all.
Yeah, but I've listened to a lot of podcasts.
I know.
and
Well,
she
what-
never
Nobody's
comes up.
mentioned her, yeah.
Well, what I'm finding, this is on the Westeros.org forums.
That's always a good place to look.
Yeah, people are kind of debating whether she's there just to put the idea, because she's very small, and so is Ghost of High Heart. They're just very tiny. And it might just be to put the idea that there's still some like blood of the children of the forest that exists.
I was gonna bring that
and
up.
that
with
there's
Ghost of High
been
Heart, yeah.
intermingling and interbreeding, and so maybe they're not entirely.
The Cranach Bank could be another
Yeah.
instance of that.
Yeah, so that might just be it. She might not be any more significant than that.
Another possible reading of it too is that like you have these Arya chapters where she's with this like very Robin Hood-esque group of people, and George could be changing his language to reflect that. Like it could be a literary kind of choice to inflate every person that they interact with these kind of mythic
Yeah.
titles. The Lady of the Leaves, which is almost Arthurian.
Yeah, it
and
sounds like
the
Lady
Ghost
of
of
the Lake.
High Heart, and like Beric and Thoros are these almost mythical creatures before they come in, and it's like
Yeah, because Thoros is the most colorful figure at Robert's court.
Sure.
Jellibors is out.
yeah.
Yeah.
We mentioned spirituality, and to bring it back to Arya, I think we're seeing here some of morality, if it's still connected to spirituality for her, but some conscience pangs, especially on 301. Right before that, when they're talking about the Northmen who did, slaying that she would find dishonorable, she's feeling ashamed, and then I think is trying to figure out what she's worth to Robb. She's saying, what if Robb doesn't pay their price when talking about a ransom? Kings are supposed to put the realm before their sisters and her lady mother. What would she say? Would she still want her back after all the things she'd done?
Oh, sweet girl.
I know, and I think it shows like a rare moment for Arya right now of thinking about what she's done, and she's been so disconnected from family and all that has defined her up to this point that she's created this new identity, and bringing the two together, I think she sees how separate they are from each other.
But I
Yeah.
think that she's looking at that through the lens of Catelyn. Like she's taking a step back and she's looking at her actions as Catelyn would, not necessarily. I don't think she's necessarily saying my actions were untoward, but she's saying Mom won't approve, even though I did these things. And I think that that's very true to Arya from moment one of Mom doesn't approve, and she's always, I think, felt kind of at a distance from Catelyn. I think it's fair to read that she felt that Catelyn favored Sansa, which I don't think is necessarily true. Like Catelyn seems to love all of her children pretty equally and passionately, but I think she's more worried about that. That's a very childlike moment of, am I going to be in trouble, more than like the things that I did were wrong.
Yeah. She's still Arya. She's not a wolf. Later, she's like, I'm not a lady. Arya wanted to tell her I'm a wolf.
Sure.
Yeah. Top 301. Edmure doesn't like Thomas Seven because he sang a song about his floppy fish. This comes back.
Wait,
Oh,
wait,
I
wait,
missed
wait,
that.
wait.
Is that about his dick?
Edmure can't get it up.
Lord Hoster was hanging outlaws before you were shaving, and that son of his, Edmure, a man who hates music can't be trusted, I always say. It's not music he hates, said Lem, it's you, fool. And it's because, the wench was willing to make a man of him. Is it my fault he drank too much to do the deed? Was it you who made a song of it, or some other bloody arse in love with his own voice? So Edmure hates Tom, and, probably not fond of singers in general after that. You don't want a song about your ED spreading around.
I think it's interesting though.
Temporary ED. Acute ED, not chronic.
I think it's interesting though to kind of get this glimpse into Edmure as like. It's another instance of I think Edmure. I bumped the mic. I'm sorry, Joel. Of Edmure feeling immense pressure on himself and probably doing it to himself.
Oh yeah.
He takes on all of this responsibility as Lord of Riverrun, sometimes to the detriment of bigger plans, and this is just another instance of like, oh, I'm supposed to sleep with this girl, and he had to get hammered to do it and then couldn't do it. And it's just another kind of like build up to something important, and then Edmure can't carry through with the deed the way that it's meant to be done necessarily. And I think that's a nice little kind of way of inserting that and enforcing that aspect of his character.
You think the Blackfish pushed him aside and did it himself then as well?
No.
Wait, what?
That's
Like
a show
the
thing.
Viking
yeah,
funeral?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that is a
definitely
show.
That
not.
is a show
Good,
thing.
that's fine.
Yeah, the Blackfish wouldn't be anywhere near there.
Yeah, he wouldn't be interested.
That makes sense given his over-eager attempt to prove himself with the Fords. And
Yeah.
over-defending Riverrun in that
Oh
sense.
man,
Right.
Edmure's a sad man.
There's a lot of sad men in Westeros.
Let's talk about the Ghost of High Heart.
Yes,
High Heart.
I love Ghost of High Heart. Ghost of High Heart's such a cool thing that's not in the show, which is fine. But she's just such a fun like thing to get to. She's
Yeah.
like a fun surprise.
And I think the next time she shows up is a bit more significant because I was surprised
Okay,
by how
that's what I
short this
thought.
was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I read through and I was like, wait, there was more. But we do get that her flesh was whiter than her white hair. It's the color of milk. And it seems to Arya that her eyes were red. So that sounds pretty albino to me.
There's a lot. Oh god.
The albino,
So
as
Doesn't
British people
a
say.
certain
bastard.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I was just about to say so much.
They're albinos.
There's
Plenty
there's a
throughout
lot
Song
of
Ice and
a
Fire.
lot of theories concerning Ghost of High Heart. I don't even know how much we should bother getting into.
Well, I can say what I know.
Sure.
So, because recently I have been listening to the audiobooks for World of Ice and Fire
Yep.
and Night of the Seven Kingdoms, I know that Ghost of High Heart dates way back to being a friend to Jenny of Oldstones,
Oh,
who married
Jenny of Oldstones.
Duncan Targaryen, who was supposed to ascend to the Iron Throne, but he really wanted to marry this commoner, and so he kind of abdicated, and that's how we got to Aerys, maybe? I think that's how we got to Aerys eventually. Because it was Duncan was Aegon's kid. Aegon
Which
the
Aegon?
Unlikely.
Oh, the unlikely.
The
Aegon
fifth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and Jenny comes up later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
And it would make this character... So she was at court, Ghost of High Heart, when Jenny was married, which was 62 years ago. So this character's at least 80 or 90, because she was old then.
Very old.
Mm-hmm.
An old person.
Yes. She has dreams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's read these dreams. Break it down.
I dreamt I saw a shadow with a burning heart butchering a golden stag. Aye.
Oh, I'm lost here.
So it's pretty clearly Stannis. The
Killing
shadow with a burning heart. Yeah, butchering Renly. Golden stag, I guess, beloved, fancy man.
Beautiful,
Well, also
handsome.
that's part of their sigil.
It's golden?
Yeah. Well, yellow,
And
gold.
it has a crown.
Yeah.
Oh,
a
okay,
crown.
sure. Oh, yeah. Crown. Okay.
Just good looking and charming.
Someone else could read the next one. I read a lot.
Where are we?
Well, it's obviously not you then.
I dreamt of a man without a face, waiting on a bridge that swayed and swung. On his shoulder perched a drowned crow with seaweed hanging from his wings.
Man,
that's
I
it.
wanted that one.
Oh shit.
Too bad. So based on the show,
No, the next one's
Show
the best
Watcher.
one.
The next
Show
one.
Watcher.
Show
Joel.
Watcher, I think this is the death of Balon Greyjoy, but because I'm guessing there's some adaptational choices, maybe we don't see the scene that we see in the show. In the book, I think this is a faceless man killing Balon Greyjoy. on orders from Euron.
That's a good guess, and it's as good as we have.
Yeah.
Literally, that's like,
Yeah.
yep,
Like the
probably. We don't know.
on his shoulder perched a drowned crow.
Yeah, it's like you're on.
You're on Crow's eye.
Yeah.
Oh, I was wondering about the crow part. Maybe second guess myself a little.
Crow's
Oh yeah,
eyes.
because they didn't give him an eye patch in the show for no fucking
Yeah.
reason.
Because they didn't want people to confuse him with Barrick.
Oh, I guess.
Can only have one eye patch, guy.
Whatever.
It's HBO's budget. Limitless tits, one eye patch.
I dreamt of a roaring river and a woman that was a fish. Dead she drifted with red tears on her cheeks, but when her eyes did open, oh, I woke from terror.
Oh, so creepy. That's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So clearly,
I think
as
we all
a-
know who that
Woman who's a fish.
Yeah, I feel bad for anyone. If you don't know what's going on, maybe don't listen to this podcast. But if you're a show watcher, which we assume most of you are, show watchers, first time book readers, you would know from the show this is Catelyn Stark. Tullys are fishes. In the book, she does tear open some red tears onto her cheeks.
Yeah, she like rips her face.
It's much more brutal than we get in the show, so you have that to look forward to.
And then awaking, well, I guess we'll have to see what that means.
Oh yeah, what does that mean, Joel?
I don't know.
That is really creepy.
Yeah.
Like when you step back and think about like what that is, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that is a scary ass thing.
Mm-hmm.
When you read this the first time, you got 1 out of 3, do you think?
Well, yeah, I got Stannis for sure, obviously.
How are you supposed to get the others?
No, the other 2.
Yeah, the other two are nothing. I suspected woman who was a fish. I was like, this has something to do with Catelyn.
Yeah.
But I had no idea what it was. I mean, like, that could be so many things the first time through. Like red tears, like, well, there's red in the Tully sigil. Is this something to do with Hoster?
Yeah, there's
Like-
a lot.
Like, it could be so many things. And George was really good, I think, at writing prophecy and things like this, and that it can be interpreted so many different ways. Should we move on? Is
We
there
should
more?
move on. I think the last thing that maybe we could briefly talk about is I look like an oak tree. Nice though, a nice oak tree. And then there's like this weird kind of scene. I thought it was a little weird on this read through. Like, I mean, I guess it's mostly playful.
This Steel Forge grab ass.
Yes,
Steel
Steel
Forge.
Forge grab ass. Thank you. Yeah, she's like tripping him and like pushing him away, but he's stronger than her and like grabbing her. I guess, I mean, he's laughing, but that's making her mad. And then finally she just knees him in the balls and runs away. But what? Is it mostly innocent?
I think so.
The language, I
I
wish from
think
her perspective was a
so.
little more playful. I hear what you're saying.
Right? It seems like he's, he's clearly much stronger than her, so it's weird to me that he's the only one laughing here.
Yeah,
But I
he's
read
laughing,
it
she's
as
mad.
like an older brother.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you can be pissed off that your older brother is messing with you.
Yeah, but this is right after he said she looks like a nice oak tree and that she smells nice.
He's
Yeah,
teasing her.
He's teasing her. And, like,
Oh.
I don't think this is...
Okay.
They've had tense moments before, so I thought this was a little bit of a crush thing. He's like,
I
oh, you look like a girl.
Yeah, I think that there's a little bit of that there, but I don't think...
I think he knows
Yeah,
that
he's-
she hates being called a lady, and
Yeah.
he's just making fun of her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just trying to, show Gendry is so, show Gendry and
Dreamy.
Arya is
So dreamy.
yeah. But
I
just trying to
wouldn't
keep
be
myself in
upset
check.
if that was a thing.
Yeah. All right.
We can talk more about Ghost of High Heart later, because she comes up again.
Yeah.
But we
She'll
can
come up
talk
again,
more
sure.
about who she is, possibly, and what her deal is.
The last thing I would add is that we get a little bit of an explanation about the guerrilla tactics of the Brotherhood Without Banners.
Sure.
That they are trying to do their best, and they can do that by having a decentralized form of communication. So Beric is leading everyone, but no one can give up his information, and that they can strike in small bands at different locations. So this is very counter to, as how I understand Westerosi warfare to proceed, but I like that they're doing it smartly.
That's true. We usually get descriptions of tactics that are like, who's leading the van and who's the rear guard, and like, you'll sweep in from the sides and we'll have two giant armies clash together and have thousands of people die. And this is very different from that.
Very
Yeah.
Sherwood Forest.
Yeah, totally.
Or Maquis.
Oh my god, Joel.
What was that?
That was Star Trek.
7 people just got that reference. I did watch more Voyager though the other day.
Oh.
And then we're back to the song, which I do think has a lot of Rhaegar Lyanna parallels.
Sure.
And I think
In this section, then going into the Dany chapter where Rhaegar's mentioned, and then you go into
Night of the
Laughing
Laughing
Tree.
Tree. Also, it's interesting that this song comes up the first chapter that we basically see Arya dressed up like a girl again, and Arya's supposed to look a lot like Lyanna.
Sure.
So it's like maybe that subconscious like tie-in.
Yeah.
her.
And we have what's her face? Lady Smallwood says that she's pretty.
Mm-hmm.
So great. Dany.
Which Dany is this?
2.
2.
Wow.
Really?
Only
Okay.
2.
We are on Daenerys 2, only the second Daenerys. This is pages 311 through page 330 in the mass market paperback edition. This chapter is the one in which she visits Astapor, with the city of red. Just red bricks and
You sure
red
it's not
everything.
amber, the color of her energy?
Whoa.
Wait,
God.
what's
I was like, please
That's
have an
311.
outing for a 311
I literally
joke.
made a 311
Reference
joke
just
like
yesterday.
yesterday.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
she did.
I don't remember why.
Yeah, and
But
I
like the
I
number
equally scoffed at
311
it.
came up.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
The
Oh,
band
it was to pay
311.
that damn
Oh, it's
business.
a.
Yeah.
Oh, are they? Do they have an amber energy to them?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
have a
oh,
song
it's the
called
color of
Amber.
their
It's
energy.
the
Oh,
color
okay.
of their energy.
Oh,
would
no
know it.
hiccups.
You would know it.
I assume. But yeah, this is
assume
when
too much.
she's checking out the Unsullied.
I like that song.
And-
So I'll play it.
Okay. And
It's got a good vibe.
Krasnus Mo Naklas has that wonderful, that delightful banter.
So much good
He's
there.
got
Him and Miss
big,
Sandy.
big old boobies.
Oh yeah, it's hard for me to not think of the show guy who was pretty.
Same. He's
lithe
pretty. Yeah. This guy's
and
got
bald. This guy.
This
is,
man was
large breasts.
sweating freely.
And
Mm-hmm.
Miss Sunday is 10.
But yep, Missandei's
Miss
10.
Sunday's
Think
a
about that next
little
time you're watching
kid.
that riverbed wash up scene.
Don't think
Don't
about
think
that
about
time
that.
you're
Yeah,
watching
don't- yeah,
that.
don't
Yeah.
think
That's
about
what
that.
I meant is don't think about that.
I like that they aged her up in the show.
Oh,
I do
please,
too.
Give
Thank
Dany
you.
a
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
It is interesting though. I think when you think about like there's this 10-year-old who's like this intelligent
Yeah.
that knows these languages and is condemned to this horrible life.
Well,
Like
her
she has
peop-
this like natural intelligence.
Her people make the best slaves, though.
Oh,
well,
sure.
We should talk about it now because I can bring some World of Ice and Fire.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
Joel.
Joel's got a new toy. He wants
I
to play
know,
with it.
I know he is.
Shit, I need to read. I read like the first part.
It's
The Kings.
very informative. So Missandei is from Nath,
Mm-hmm.
or Nath, as they mentioned here, and they're called the Peaceful People. And all they do all day is eat fruit and make music, and they don't fight. They live on this island just themselves, and they worship a huge, like, hairy god who is very peaceful.
Sounds so
And when I read this, I was thinking, this doesn't sound like George at all. It sounds too idyllic and too just generically happy. But if you aren't from this island and you go there, if you stay a couple of hours, you're going to get violently ill and start sweating blood, and then all your skin falls off.
Fine.
So slavers have to go there in the dead of night and be there like for a half hour, and then they go away. Otherwise, they'll just die.
Is that magic or is it a disease?
Apparently, it's from the pretty butterflies who live there.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
it
it's
sounds like a
poison.
bug thing.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
poison.
Yeah.
And the people who live there are inured to it.
immune, yeah.
Is it
Oh,
south? Is it
that's cool.
south of Essos?
I think
Like,
it was
is
the,
it near Sithoros?
Oh,
I-
I thought it was.
Sorry.
I
Yeah,
thought it
like near the
was-
Basilisk Isles, maybe.
Yeah, that's south, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up.
It's
Planetos.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just gonna say this. I feel like this should be the last chapter we discussed today because it's going long.
It's going long.
Yeah,
We are
we've been
going
having a
long.
good time.
no,
We haven't done this
we're
in a
not
little
talking
while.
about Night of the Laughing.
I
That's,
know,
that's the thing is I
Chelsea,
want
I
to give that the
know.
proper amount
We
of
could talk a
attention.
lot.
Oh,
Yeah, like
okay.
it's
But-
getting late.
That's
I don't
so
want-
disappointing.
We have a cut to go.
Okay.
through.
Yeah.
You get to hear this, everyone.
What? I thought you were. Oh yeah.
well, that, yeah.
Sure. Harpy. Harpies.
The harpy?
Harpies.
Oh yeah, so this is another instance of introducing a spiritual aspect to Planetos culture. You have this ancient Can we say ancient? You have
The geese.
yeah, you have this culture of antiquity that worshipped or at least took on as part of their mythology and culture the harpy, this image of the harpy, and they built these pyramids, and capped them with them and used this as their, it's interesting to me to think about the image of the harpy compared to Westerosi culture, where you have each individual family has their own symbol with their sigils, where this culture in Westeros that's so driven by these families and is so divided, whereas the Giscari Empire was united under this one image of the harpy. And even though it's separated now into city-states, you still have the remnants of this united front. Slaver's Bay, the remnants of Old Geese, is the harpy so emblematic of that. And I think that's something that's interesting when you talk about Dany as this kind of like uniting force of freedom kind of going forward and just destroying this kind of old way of life.
Also, fun fact, in Game of Thrones Risk, the Giscari are the 7th race that you can play as.
They have cool pieces.
They do have cool pieces. They're
Yeah.
harpies. They're
Yeah,
blue
it's pretty
harpies.
neat.
They are cool.
And some background to this conflict that we're going to see start to happen here. The old Empire of Geese was basically beaten down 5 or so times in war by the Valerians until they finally broke them and salted the ground where their kingdom used to be.
Yeah, Old Geese is fucked, right?
Yeah, it's been gone a long time, and basically their destruction is what led to the Valerian freehold and their dominance for so long. So this is interesting to see another a Targaryen of Valerian descent coming up against slave masters again.
And then New Geese is an island, correct? East of the Doom of Valor.
Valeria.
The Doom of Valeria, right?
Valor's Lord of the Rings.
Oops. To make some
Yeah.
New
strings
Geese
here.
is
It's in Slaver's Bay. It's an island
Yeah.
in Slaver's Bay.
So, okay, wait. So the people who live here now,
Yes.
are they still the blood of Old Geese or no?
I think they're
some of them are.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they're referred to as Giscari.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I was confused.
Like
they limped
Krasnus
along
is
during
Giscari, I think.
the Valerians' rule.
Yeah.
and
But
then
he says
they're back.
the gods of Geese were dead, and so too its people. These Astapor were mongrels, Sir Jorah said. So like,
Yeah,
mixed
I think it's
blood.
like
I guess.
it's like Aztecs or Maya in Mexico.
oh,
Like
or
they're
it's-
still
Yeah, they're
native
still-
people, but they're so blended with Spanish.
So like the Aztec people aren't there.
there aren't like Aztecs. I'm sorry if this is wrong. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but
Yeah.
like
I see. Yeah, no, I see.
it's they're so intermixed.
And also, I think maybe the implication is that the grander cities, you can trace the lineage more. So Marine is more an heir to this Giscari Empire than Astapor is.
Sure.
Oh, is it?
That's the
Yeah,
impression
I
I'm
think
getting.
because the masters all have different titles, right? It's like
There's the good masters, the wise masters,
and like the
The shitty masters.
is it the
Oh,
old
man.
masters?
Why'd
Like
we
what?
get the shitty
Marine, I
masters?
do think that there's a sense that Marine is like the alpha of them. Whatever.
Maybe that's just because Danny goes there last, and that's how we
it's possible. We could be.
She does work her
projecting
way
that.
up from like, oh, I can take this one to like, oh, young guy, it's a little bit up, and then Marine's like the boss.
Oh, doesn't she take Yunkai like super easy comparatively? I could be
It's like an
completely
overnight
misremembering
siege.
this.
Well, isn't
misremembering
that
it.
when they go through the sewer?
Yeah.
show, at
Oh
least.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
Talking
So,
about this chapter.
We have
though.
this interesting device set up of the translation.
love
between-
it.
Genius. Love it.
Yeah,
So
it
good.
does so much. It sets up these slavers as these sexist, dehumanizing pigs worthy of being taken down and outsmarted. And it tells us a lot about who they are, setting them up as these, I guess, if we get into a Myronese, not big bads for a long time for Dany. And also, we just learn a lot about who they are.
I love it as a device, and I love it as an intelligence gathering
Yeah.
tactic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It tells us a lot about Miss Sunday too.
Yeah.
Oh, sure,
She's
yeah.
tactful.
Yeah.
And it's just plain funny.
But
Tell
yeah,
her to
there's a
open
lot
those
that's funny.
slut's eyes of hers. He begs you attend this carefully, Your Grace.
And that's another thing that I mean with Miss Sandy being 10. It's like she's so smart to be able to change on the fly that way.
Yeah.
That was 316. 321 is pretty good too. I will feed her jellied dog brains and a fine rich stew of red octopus and unborn puppy. Many
Yeah.
delicious dishes can be had here, he says.
Yeah.
Hey, I forgot that
puppy.
the Unsullied drink this wine of courage that makes them not feel things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Deadly nightshade, bloodfly larva, black lotus root, other delicious
Which
yummy
is-
things.
Is that an opiate?
Yeah, they have to be.
Isn't
Nightshade is what
Lotus
those warlocks
is Lotus
drink too,
like
right?
a what is Lotus in the real world?
Black lotus root?
Yeah, is that like aren't lotus flowers some kind of like aren't they kind of loosely related to like opium?
I don't know if you were thinking of just
poppies?
poppies. Though. Let me see.
Think of
I'm
poppies,
gonna
man?
Google it and see.
Yeah,
Keep-
that's a good
keep
idea
talking.
because I shouldn't just be talking out of my ass.
Yeah.
Let's. Was it Black Lotus root?
I'm making a lot of assumptions of things today.
Aztecs and lotus roots.
In the meantime, I think it's interesting that Dany's being pretty savvy here, but she continues to not be savvy when it comes to Arston Whitebeard, a squire who knows some high Valyrian. Like, she is not from Westeros. She is, but she's never really lived there. I get it. But she should realize that's very uncommon. She's mad at Jorah right now, very rightly, but this Arston character, there's more to him than meets the eye.
I found it interesting that there haven't been slaves in the Seven Kingdoms for thousands of years.
I'm getting Lotus as an opiate from the Greek myth of the Lotus Eaters.
Oh, of course.
Yes, so that is not totally unfounded.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't find anything. That doesn't involve like actual research and like. There's not like just an easy answer.
Sure.
Hey, anyone else think that these Astapori are maybe not the nicest of people when it comes to their children?
What?
When it comes to training the Unsullied, anyone else get the feeling that maybe like this isn't the most humane way to go about
1 in
training
3
an army?
survive, James.
That's
1 in 3
crazy.
survive when they're little.
I guess
If that
that's
were a
double
batting
digits.
average, you'd be pretty. That'd be like
Sure.
a great batting average.
Yeah, okay.
But you're right. There's so many levels. Like you adopt a puppy when you start. You kill the
Yeah,
puppy
you
a year
strangle
later.
it.
You kill a baby later on.
I
we
forgot
we
about the
rolled
baby killing.
we rolled little boys in different attractive sticky substances and then see which one the bear eats
Oh my
first.
god.
my God, I
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a boy in honey, you got a boy in blood, and you got a boy in rotting fish. Which one is the bear gonna eat first? My money is
Fish?
not on rotting. It's rotting fish though. I would feel like the bear might avoid that.
Oh,
You get that honey though. I'm putting my money on Honey Kid. Honey, the bear ate the kid.
Did Pooh ever have a story like that where there was
What do you think
a
happened
boy
to Christopher
dipped-
Robin?
he fell into some honey and Pooh couldn't control himself?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, but these people are awful, man.
They're pretty bad.
Forgot how long this chapter was.
And it's mostly awful.
It is all of it's
It's
just
cut-
like
He's
yeah.
cutting off nipples.
They really go into fine detail because they're so disciplined. I think this is good to tell us how exactly that was accomplished.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's then you never question it.
And then they bring up all the like, oh well, they won't be attracted to, they won't be swayed by women because they're not only are they're castrated,
Yeah.
but just castration is
Castration is balls.
yeah,
But
right.
when you're like
Root
a
and stem.
eunuch,
But when you're root
you
and
have
stem.
nothing.
I think that's like a big reason why Dany decides to go for it. Like think about how much that affected her when she was with the Dothraki, and like then it bit her in the ass when she saved Mary Mazdor. Like
Oh yeah, because she didn't like them raping
like
people.
she's like, if we can avoid this issue,
Yeah.
then
I mean, and Jorah brings it like Jorah really brings up a good point when he's like, yo, they're only going to do what you say.
Yeah.
Brick they may be, as you say, but if you buy them henceforth, the only dogs they'll kill are those that you want dead. So that really puts that idea in her head. Oh, if I don't get them, someone else might, and they can have them do horrible things. If I get them, maybe I can treat them right.
It's really a critical step in her moral development because she's had this background of being against slavery and trying to rescue people from slavery. But then
I don't think that's been very strong so far.
It's complicated and early in her arc, her relationship to slavery. I agree with you, Joel, that she's anti-slave at this point.
Is
Yeah.
she though?
I think so.
When did she express that sentiment?
in game and
When?
And also in Feast, there's moments where she hasn't explicitly been like, I'm anti-slave, but she's really started to struggle with the fact that there are so many slaves around.
I don't know if she has.
I think
Yeah,
so.
because she always talks about how she's like, I was basically enslaved.
Yeah, but
And-
that might just be a like, that sucked for me kind of thing. In game, I know that she didn't mind having all these slaves around.
No, but I think that's a big part of her arc is that early on she doesn't have a problem with it, and then the experience that she goes through, and then the more that she's exposed to it, and then now you get her where she's learning of this horrible origin story to the Unsullied, as well as like,
But I don't even know.
Missandei's people make the best slaves. Like she's really confronted with the horrors of the issue of the institution.
But I don't know if the slavery is what bothers her. I think it might just be, one, the cruelness of it, like the whole killing the puppies and killing the baby thing, and then two, Arston's point of like, you can't come here with slaves, you'll be rejected by the Westerosi. I think those combined are maybe more powerful in her decision.
That's a fair criticism.
Although, to argue against myself, she does tell Eerie when she goes to pleasure her again, you're not a pleasure slave. Or
I
whatever
think
she
the
calls
point
her.
is that she's very conflicted about it.
yeah, I think to your point, her development, her evolution when it comes to this moral perspective is from her point of view first when she is a slave, and then extends from there. It goes to sympathy for women who are also being enslaved in their treatment, trying to take the women who are being enslaved by the Khalasar into her service.
Yeah,
and protect
but
them.
still like own them. You know?
Yes, but it's not like
but
she
in a
could
protective way.
Yeah,
sure. Okay.
that was one level of working within a system that she tried to change, and
Yeah.
she tried to change even more and met with greater resistance. So I think this can be an extension of that. She hasn't experienced something so dramatic as this before, and she's just learning, how it works. She's even questioning, well, why has this city never been raided by the Dothraki? It's vulnerable. And she's starting to understand it's because, well, these are the people you sell slaves to. It's a whole system. And she might be seeing it now from a macro point of view, not a micro.
Who knew the slave trade would be so complicated?
Well, the old geese really could have stopped this. They could have
Oh my
negotiated.
god. It would have never gotten
We
to this.
never would have gotten to this point.
All right.
But I did want to add too that, yeah, she's having to choose between taking in slaves. They would be slaves. She would be buying people, but she's also in need of power. Mm-hmm. And before she had power, and she could try and change the rules and just be like, well, I'm going to protect these women. And she was a Khaleesi, and now she can't do anything unless she has them.
I do think it's interesting though, like looking back and thinking about like, has Dany ever really had power? I think she we're getting to the point in her story where she's about to really, and I think it might even be the next Dany chapter where she really takes control and creates her own power, because up to this point it's been her power when she was with the Khalasar was really rooted in Khal Drogo.
Definitely.
Her authority prior to that was all from Viserys and her family, and when she was in Karth,
Is it the dragons?
it was the dragons, but it was only her which and the monetary wealth that they represented, and she was protected and vouched for by Zaro.
Yeah.
Naxos.
So she's never really had
That's true.
actual authority, and I think that it's interesting to think about when she does get that power, what does she do with it? What kind of ruler does she become? And how? I mean, these are big questions to think about with Dany going forward for the rest of the series.
Yeah.
And who is Daenerys Targaryen? Is she the hero that a lot of Dany fans think she is? I don't think so. But that's a story for another day.
She's still pretty fixated on Jorah having kissed her. She's not a fan.
Rightly so.
Right,
Yeah.
rightly so. But I like how
True Knight would not do that.
a true knight wouldn't. And now she like you just get a sense for, oh man, she's just like women now. Like she's taking extra steps to not be left alone with him. She's like just sucks for her,
Yeah,
man.
that's creepy.
Yeah.
It did. I'm not defending it at all. But I like the detail that it awakened in her sort of, sexual awareness again after having dragon children, and she hadn't really thought about this, and she's thinking about it again, but her fantasies are not of Jorah. They're like young, comely men.
Yeah.
Whose faces are in shadow. Her lover, is it Jon?
What?
I don't think.
No,
I don't
look,
think
look.
there's
I think
any
she just-
kind of.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
never Jorah Mormont she dreamed of. Her lover was always younger and more comely, though his face remained a shifting shadow. This is a specific person. Her lover was always younger and more comely, though his face remained a shifting shadow. This is a specific individual.
I don't know.
Whose
I think-
face is a shifting shadow.
I think she's saying her
Maybe
lover
it's a
was-
faceless man. Is it Jaqen
No,
H'ghar?
no.
Oh my
Her lover was
God.
always.
Are you stirring shit? You stirring shit when we're trying to get out of this?
I
Her lover
think-
was always like it's a different person every time, and
But
the face is a
he
shifting
is
Yeah.
always.
shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
James.
It could be Jaqen H'ghar.
Sure.
Okay.
sure.
Putting that out there.
Yeah.
It's Benjen.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Wait.
Jaqen H'ghar.
So it's Dario.
Yeah. How many times do I got to say it, man?
So it's Euron.
Okay, we know it's Euron. Jaqen H'ghar.
All right.
Okay.
We
Any
get
other
we
final
get that
thoughts?
Jorah quote, which I think is important to the
Oh,
series.
yeah.
Of there's a savage beast in every man, and when you hand that man a sword or spear and send him forth to war, the beast stirs.
There's so many great. Just another thing. I think this connects to the Bloody Mummers and what we talked about earlier with them. One of the reasons I think Storm is so strong is because even though we get these separate storylines and these separate POVs, George is so good at thematically connecting them with very specific, bigger picture through lines, and this is one of those moments. It's just Storm is the strongest, I think, of the series, and we're really seeing why here in the meat when we're getting into the meat. God, there's so much of this book left.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're only a third of the way through, and
Jesus.
already Jamie's lost his hand. All right.
You say James lost his
no, I
hand?
said Jamie.
Okay.
I don't think you did.
You can go back and listen to it.
I will.
All right.
I won't.
Well, that was our audio book club.
Yeah, we'll hit you up with some pages for next time. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
If you were reading to read with us, you're already 2 in, so you're better than us. Good job.
Yeah.
So this is going to go out as a YouTube video, audio only.
You've just watched that YouTube video.
Great. And then it'll also do you have an idea for when the podcast is going up?
Now that I'm being less of a perfectionist, because we're gonna have better mics now, but the mics before, sometimes we just lose things, and that means like 5 episodes where it's shitty sound, and I'm very frustrated by that. I'm taking too much time with it, so I don't have a date yet, but I'll figure out a date soon. 'Cause
If you
I just-
want to make Joel's life easier
oh yeah,
and help us improve the quality of all of our content, you can click the link in the description below or find us on Patreon, patreon.com/fractalfolks, and make a contribution to our channel in any amount you choose, $1 to $1 million.
Do 1 million. Go
Do a
nuts.
million.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we up to $20, we have varying different little rewards. If you make a contribution to our channel, it would be we would be very appreciative of it, and it would go towards making all of our stuff better. We don't make any money from this. All of the contributions we get go towards making the channel and the group and the podcasts and things better. Mics are next on our list, so please consider becoming a patron and help us have better audio quality for Joel.
Yeah, and for you. And hey, we do good stuff for our patrons. We hope that they're happy. We're about to put out some cool stuff for you guys.
That's true.
Okay. All right. Well, join us next time. I don't know when that'll be. We'll let you know.
Sure.
I'm James.
I'm Gressel.
That threw me off.
Wait,
I'm Chelsea.
oh,
I
you
know.
always say James.
I know, but nobody knows me as James.
Oh, but they for every book club
For
up
book
to now.
club,
bro.
you're
I'll do it.
James.
Fine, we'll do it again.
All right. I'm James.
I'm James.
I'm Chelsea.
I'm Joel.
And this has been the audio-only version of NPR's All Things Considered.
Oh, God.
What's in the book? What's in the book?
What's with the book?